The humid air carries the thick scent of fermenting hibiscus flowers and diesel fuel drifting from the massive container cranes that dominate the western horizon. Sunlight glints off the polished glass of skyscrapers rising like jagged glass teeth from the edge of the Pacific Ocean. Every few minutes, the roar of a heavy military transport jet drowns out the rustle of palm fronds along the waterfront promenade. This intense heat defines the rhythm of life in Hawaii's capital. A single rusty iron ring bolted into the volcanic stone of the harbor in 1890 remains a silent witness to a century of upheaval. Saltwater has corroded its surface until it resembles a brittle orange sponge. It once held the ropes of whaling ships and warships alike. Honolulu vibrates with restless energy today. This urban center is more than a postcard. It is a triumph of engineering. Modernity arrived here with a violent suddenness. Before the high-rises and the four-lane highways, this landscape was a mosaic of wetlands and coral reefs. Ancient Hawaiians called this place Ki'awauku, a small sheltered bay where the trade winds provided a natural cooling system for the thatched dwellings of the nobility. The year 1794 changed everything when Captain William Brown sailed the English ship Butterworth into the Deepwater Basin. He recognized the strategic value of the harbor immediately. No other natural port in the Central Pacific offered such protection from the relentless ocean swells. King Kamehameha II officially moved the capital of the Hawaiian Kingdom from Lahaina to Honolulu in 1845. He saw the future in the deep water. The town began to expand along the dusty plains of the South Shore. Early settlers struggled with the porous volcanic soil that swallowed fresh water but refused to support heavy stone structures. Merchants built wooden storefronts that smelled of cedar and dried fish. Whale oil lamps flickered in the windows of the first maritime banks. Life moved at a snail's pace. By the mid-1800s, the population exploded as the global sugar trade demanded a central shipping hub. This growth brought systemic challenges to the fledgling urban grid. The city needed a new identity. Public works projects started to reshape the coastline. In 1882, the construction of Iolani Palace introduced electricity and telephone lines to the islands before the White House in Washington, D.C. had them. King Kalakaua spared no expense on this architectural marvel. It stood as a beacon of Hawaiian sovereignty and technological ambition. Brick by brick, the royal district grew. However, the geographic limitations of the site remained a constant hurdle for planners. To the north, the steep, emerald-green Koolau Mountains prevented inland expansion. To the south, the reef-choked shoreline limited the draft of incoming vessels. Urban engineers realized they would have to build the city by destroying the existing landscape. Walter Dillingham, a name synonymous with the physical construction of modern Honolulu, founded the Hawaiian Dredging Company in 1902. He envisioned a metropolis carved from the sea. His crews began the monumental task of dredging the harbor to accommodate the massive steel-hulled ships of the 20th century. They sucked up 20 million cubic yards of coral and silt from the ocean floor. This sludge was not wasted. Engineers pumped the wet coral debris into the low-lying marshes of the Waikiki district. Before this intervention, Waikiki was a vast wetland of taro patches and duck ponds. The transformation was absolute and irreversible. Construction crews worked 24/7 as 15 new hotels rose simultaneously across the newly dried land. Wide asphalt boulevards replaced the muddy tracks of the Old Kingdom. The smell of hot tar replaced the scent of the marshes. Honolulu was becoming a modern machine. The 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor accelerated this industrialization beyond anything the residents had imagined. Military necessity dictated the city's design for the next 4 decades. Concrete mixers worked overtime to build bunkers, airstrips, and massive fuel storage tanks deep within the volcanic hills. The H1 freeway began to slice through established neighborhoods, prioritizing the movement of troops and supplies over local connectivity. Tens of billions of dollars flowed into the local economy from the federal government. This massive infusion of capital funded the construction of the Ala Wai Center, which opened in 1959. At the time, it was the largest shopping mall in the world. It signaled the city's shift from a maritime outpost to a consumerist powerhouse. Architects pointed at models featuring futuristic brutalist buildings. They wanted to project strength and stability. The city skyline began to reach for the clouds. Steel beams were welded together in the salt air to create the first 400-foot towers. Developers fought for every inch of the limited coastal strip. This era saw the disappearance of the old wooden city. Glass and steel became the new vernacular. People moved into high-rise apartments with views of the crushing surf. The urban heat island effect began to raise temperatures in the downtown core. Traffic congestion became a permanent fixture of daily life. By the 1970s, the H3 highway project was proposed to connect the windward side of the island to the naval bases. It became one of the most expensive and controversial engineering feats in American history. The project cost over $1.3 billion for just 15 miles of road. Engineers had to design massive viaducts that hugged the mountain ridges without triggering catastrophic landslides. They carved twin tunnels through the solid basalt of the Koolau Range. Each tunnel is nearly a mile long. The highway offers breathtaking views, but its construction destroyed several sacred Hawaiian sites. This tension between progress and preservation remains the central conflict of the city. Beneath the glossy surface of the tourist districts lies a complex web of hidden infrastructure. Miles of underground pipes carry fresh water from the inland aquifers to the thirsty coastal hotels. The drainage systems are a marvel of mid-century design. The Ala Wai Canal, a man-made waterway, serves as the primary artery for storm runoff. Without it, the multi-billion-dollar real estate of Waikiki would revert to a swamp during every heavy tropical downpour. Workers must periodically dredge the canal to prevent it from clogging with urban debris. Life here depends on constant maintenance. The power grid is equally hidden and equally vulnerable. Deep-sea cables and buried transformers keep the lights on in the dense Kaka'ako district. In this neighborhood, old warehouses are being demolished to make way for a new generation of smart city developments. Architects are now designing buildings with vertical gardens to combat the rising temperatures. They use sustainable materials like cross-laminated timber and recycled aluminum. The sound of welding steel beams is the constant soundtrack of this district. Scaffolding towers obscure the view of the ocean for months at a time. The city is growing upward because it has nowhere else to go. A $10 billion elevated rail project known as HART is currently the largest infrastructure project in the state's history. It aims to move 30,000 people an hour across the congested southern corridor. The concrete pillars for the rail line stand like a modern Stonehenge against the sunset. Construction has been plagued by delays and budget overruns. Critics point to the skyrocketing costs as a sign of government overreach. Supporters see it as the only way to save the city from total gridlock. A drone flying through the clouds reveals a line of concrete stretching toward the horizon. The rail line will eventually connect the burgeoning suburbs of Kapolei to the heart of the financial district. This is the new frontier. Urban planners are also grappling with the looming threat of sea level rise. Honolulu sits on the front lines of the climate crisis. Projections suggest that several blocks of the primary tourist district could be underwater by the end of the century. Engineers are researching massive sea walls and tidal gates to protect the billion-dollar waterfront. The tide hitting the ancient seawall is a reminder of the ocean's persistence. We see the city adapting in real time. New building codes require the first floors of coastal structures to be sacrificial, allowing water to flow through without compromising the integrity of the building. This is a radical shift in philosophy. The city is no longer trying to conquer the sea. It is learning to live with it. As you walk through the rainy neon streets of the Chinatown district, you can see the layers of history overlapping. The original 19th century brickwork is patched with modern cement. Traditional lay stands operate in the shadows of high-tech parking spaces. Pedestrians crossing a busy intersection reflect the diverse melting pot that this port has become. You hear a dozen different languages in a single block. The city is a vibrant, chaotic organism. It has survived plagues, fires, and world wars. The engineering marvels that sustain it are often invisible to the casual observer. We only notice the power grid when it fails or the drainage system when the streets flood. Yet these systems are the true skeleton of the metropolis. Benjamin Cayetano, a former governor, pushed for the rail project to ensure the city's survival in a post-car world. His vision, like that of Walter Dillingham before him, is one of total transformation. The landscape continues to evolve. In the hills above the city, the Haiku Stairs, a ladder of 3,922 steel steps built during World War II, sits abandoned and shrouded in mist. It is a monument to a different era of engineering. The city government recently voted to dismantle it due to liability concerns. It represents the difficulty of maintaining the past while building the future. The urban footprint of Honolulu is a testament to human persistence. We have turned a series of taro patches into a global center for trade and military strategy. The skyline continues to change as new cranes arrive every month. Concrete mixers work through the night to lay the foundations for the next generation of residents. The city is a masterpiece of adaptation. It exists at the intersection of a vast ocean and a rugged mountain range. This geographical isolation has forced a unique brand of innovation. We see it in the way the city manages its limited resources. Every gallon of water and every kilowatt of power is accounted for. The future of Honolulu will be defined by its ability to balance growth with environmental reality. It is a city that never stops moving. The legacy of the Hawaiian kingdom lives on in the street names and the sacred sites that remain tucked between the glass towers. This is the story of a city that refused to be limited by its geography. It is a story of steel, coral, and ambition. The iron ring in the harbor may be rusting, but the city it helped build is stronger than ever. Urban evolution is a relentless process. Honolulu is proof that even the most fragile landscape can be transformed into a world-class powerhouse. The sunset casts a golden glow over the cargo ships in the harbor. Another day ends in the Pacific's most important city. The transformation continues. Humanity's footprint on these islands is permanent. We are the architects of this modern paradise. The story is far from over. It is written in the concrete and the clouds. This is Honolulu. This is the future. Progress is the only constant. We build, we adapt, and we endure. All around us, the city breathes. The Pacific remains its greatest partner and its greatest challenge. We watch the horizon for what comes next. Honolulu is ready, the world is watching, this urban journey continues. Power flows through the hidden veins of the streets, the lights of the skyscrapers flicker on. The night belongs to the engineers, glory is found in the details, engineering defines our destiny. Look at the skyline, see the transformation, it is beautiful, it is complex, it is Honolulu.